Morning everyone, it's Audrey, StitchyWitch42. It's Friday the 6th of March 2020. This is the second time I have recorded this video because the first time I did it, I was sitting out in the living room and none of the words would come out of my mouth the way that they should have. I was watching the video before I uploaded it and I made so many mistakes on what I was trying to say, and then for some reason or another my video kind of cut off at the end, so I just thought, do it over again because I don't edit. So let's see if I can talk correctly in this video. You get what you get. So I ended my last video on an emotional note because I had received this fantastic gift from someone who watches my videos. And you all saw that. And the boxes are stacked up in my living room. I absolutely love them. I think they're gorgeous. But yeah, I was a bit overwhelmed at the end of the video. So I want to say again, thank you to Sherry for sending those to me. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. And again, no one ever has to send me anything, but I've loved everything that I've ever received. But nobody has to send me anything. So I don't know whether to call this stitchy kindness because it's not stitching. And it wasn't given to me. Stitching honor? I don't know. Two of the ladies that I absolutely love watching, Colleen and Cheryl, Stitching with the Sisterlies. They've added some additions to their family. And they did a short video and they were introducing these additions to their family. They named some of them after family and friends. They named some of them after other floss tubers. And I'm hoping that you've all seen this and know what I'm talking about. But just in case you don't, they named a chicken after me. I'm a creamy leg something. They named a chicken after me. I watched that video and I was dying, laughing in my chair, tears running down my face. My husband comes in and looks at me and says, "What's going on?" And I told him. I said, "Colleen and Cheryl named a chicken after me." He now refers to them as those two. If he walks in and I'm watching their video, oh, it's those two. They named a chicken after me. But I have a question to ask you ladies. Am I the breakfast egg chicken or am I the Sunday dinner chicken? Let me know. Yeah, I love them. My last video, I talked about how Mark drove me up to Silverdale so that I could go meet up with the Stitchers, the Kitsap Stitchers, and so many of you had such nice things to say about him. I made sure that I read him every comment, and sincerely I want to thank you all because he is a good guy. He takes care of me in so very, very many ways, and I have been truly blessed to have him in my life. So, cross stitch. That's what we're here for. The first thing I want to say is that I have 3 FFOs to share, and the first one is an FFO and the results of the giveaway from my last video. So my friend Deanna, who is Darling and Whimsy Designs. She designed this pattern, I Carry Your Heart, and she had sent it out to myself and the other two ladies who are part of Team 9 in Melanie Watkins' What Whip group. She says we're Team 9, I say we're Team 9 3/4, but that's just the way I roll, because why not? Anyway, I had found this fantastic fabric up at Acorns and Threads. It is a platinum metallic 28 count cashel, and that was what I decided to stitch it on. I'm checking to make sure that the words are coming out right. I used the red silk that my friend Melanie Smith, Yarns and Threads, sent to me. And then I went to Joann's to find a fabric to finish it with, and I came up with this lovely, lovely fabric here. It's marbleized. The color is perfect, and if you look up, you can see that there is a shimmer that runs through the marbleization. So the way I finished my piece was to make it into a little pillow. This is I Carry Your Heart by Darling and Whimsy Designs. The marbleized material here, show you on the back, and you can see the sparkle going through there. I think that just matches this platinum metallic so well. And then I bought a simple wide rickrack to put on there as the embellishment, and I love the way that this turned out. So after I did my last video, I contacted Deanna and I said, hey, I want to give away your pattern, and she very graciously said, please draw 2 names. She will give one away too. So I had more than enough fabric to cut out 2 pieces of the platinum metallic to stitch that pattern on. I have more than enough of the fabric I got at Joann's for finishing it. So I have 2 of these set up to go to 2 winners, not just one, because of Deanna. I had 24 people enter the giveaway. 2 winners were chosen. The first one is Carla Rolodex Stitches, and the other one is Linda Craig. Carla, I know that I follow you on Instagram. I will contact you through messaging there. And Linda, I have spoke with you before through Facebook Messenger. I will contact you that way. What I need from both of you ladies is your addresses so that I can send the linen and the fabric. And then I need to know whether or not you want the hard copy or the PDF version of the pattern so that I can contact Deanna and let her know. If you choose the PDF version, I also need to have your email address so that she can send you the PDF version. Okay, so I Carry Your Heart, giveaway, done and dusted. Get that to where I'm at on my notes, because I've said this all before, but I don't know what I've said, and half of what I said last time was wrong. So there you go. The second FFO I have, I was stitching Abby Rose Designs Merry Christmas. Stitching this on 32 count Havana, and this is my finish. I simply used another piece of the Havana to back it. I love Havana. I think it is such a rich, warm color, and it works so well with so many different patterns. Janine gave me my first piece of Havana when I stitched Halloween and Quilt 2 years ago. I stitched it on 32 count Havana, and it's just such a pretty, pretty color. I trimmed it with the Lady Dot chenille. The colorway for this chenille is Brick House, and I thought it worked really good with the berries on this. and this is my finish for Abby Rose. Merry Christmas. Okay, my third finish, my third FFO. Left the pattern upstairs, and I don't feel like walking up there and getting it. But I was working on the Witchy Stitcher, Beastly Happy Halloween. And if you remember when I was talking about it in my last video, this is the one that I started stitching on the fabric that I won from Mel's Travel and Stitching. She contacted me and said that she told me the wrong name of the fabric. It's not Winter Whispers, it's Colonial Parchment, 32 count. Long piece of fabric. When I started it in the center, and I realized that the bottom motif on the pattern itself wasn't going to fit the bottom of the fabric. So I came up with the idea of cutting that motif out of the pattern, cutting it in half, and then moving it up and taping it on either side of the cat's face so that I could extend the width of the design, because I wanted to make it into a drum finish. When I went up to the Kits Up Stitchers meetup, Daleen was sitting next to me, and this is what I was stitching on. She suggested that I put a ruffle around it because, just like me, she remembers the similar cat pattern from when we were younger, and they had a ruffle around the neck, around the collar. So I liked that idea, and I asked people on my last video, do I do a ruffle around the bottom, or do I do a ruffle or ruching around the top of the drum? And only one person answered me, and that was Nisi Lynn. Thank you very much. She said, put the ruffle around the bottom, because if you put it around the top, you're going to overshadow the stitching. Good point. Very good point. So here is my finish on the Witchy Stitchers Beastly Happy Halloween. So this is the cat. Here's the side, this side, and then where I took that bottom element and cut it in half and brought it up, it has come together perfectly. When I was sewing it together, I didn't have the bat lined up quite right, so he's a bit wonky on this side. It's a bat. Bats are wonky. But that's the back of my drum. I am very, very happy how that turned out. I did the ruffle on the bottom because Nisi Lynn said I should. Stitching the ruffle on here, I used a 7/8 inch ribbon. I had one needle in it because I didn't know how big a piece I was going to need to go around. I had one needle in the ribbon doing a running stitch so that I could scrunch it up, and I had a second needle going so that I could stitch it to the bottom of the drum, and I kept tangling the two needles up. I was about halfway through stitching this ruffle on the bottom of it when it finally dawned on me, Audrey, you're stitching a drum. Take that first needle and stick it into the drum so that it's out of the way. It became so much easier to stitch once I did that. But I love, 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 love the way this turned out. I am so tickled that the back matched up. And I think this is a fantastic way to alter a pattern like this and turn it into a drum. So I'm very, very happy with that. Those are my 3 FFOs. Okay. This year there are a lot of people who are stitching the Suffrage Act. There's a stitch along going with the Sisterlies. I know Erin Two Martini and Michelle Bendy and several other people they're all stitching the suffragette. You can look on Instagram and see several people doing it. People are changing skin tones because Caucasian women got the vote in 1920. Black women got it in 1965. I don't know these things. I'm not stitching that. I haven't really done any patriotic stitching or anything like that. But the reason I bring it up is because this is an election year. And I don't talk politics in real life. It's a subject that drives me crazy. I am aware of what the issues are. I read the pamphlets, voters' pamphlets. I talk with my husband. I am knowledgeable of what's going on, and I vote. 2 years ago, Tasha, who is part of Ink Circles Designs, she designed this little piece. I voted. It's a free pattern on their website. I stitched it on perforated paper. I backed it with sticky back felt, put a needle minder magnet behind it and the other half right here so that I can tack it onto my sweater or whatever without having a needle mark in it. It is a free pattern. It is an election year. If you can legally vote, please do, because your vote matters and your voice matters. Don't let it slide. It's important. Go to Ink Circles, get their free pattern. I'm going to link it down below. Please vote this year. It's important. Make your vote count. That's all the politics I do. Okay. Yesterday was First Thursday. I went up there and we were a smaller group than we have been for the past couple of months, which was kind of nice because we could actually sit and talk to each other and hear what everyone was saying. I had ordered a pattern that I had seen on another FlossTubers videos, and it was waiting for me when I got up there. So the purchases that I made while I was up at Acorns and Threads yesterday was the pattern I had seen on Andrea, a Cautionary Tales video. She showed this. I paused the video. I grabbed my phone. I went to 123 Stitch. I found the pattern. I took a screenshot. I went to Janine. I said, order it for me. It was waiting for me. The drawn thread, Bats in the Belfry. I love the way this looks. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So it was waiting for me. I picked it up yesterday and decided to kit it up and start it up there. It calls for 32 count dirty. I decided to use 32 count cocoa instead. Weeks Dye Work cocoa instead. This is kitted up in silks, or charted in silks. See, the words still aren't coming out of my mouth right. It's charted in silks. I decided to switch everything out to DMC. So out of all the colors that this is charted for, there was one needlepoint silk that doesn't have a DMC conversion. So I was talking with Wendy and asking her for some help trying to pick out a color. And one of the new ladies that works at Acorns and Threads went and grabbed the fold-out DMC chart and helped me pick out a color for that. So this is my color palette that I'm using for Bats in the Belfry. These are all DMC colors. This is DMC 402. That was the color that there was no conversion for from the needlepoint silks. But it works great with the other colors there. I have them on some little floss cards that I made. I have a thread drop here. I picked up this thread drop at Fall Fling last October. Yeah, it was the beginning of October. And I got started on this yesterday at Acorns and Threads. I love the way this is stitching up. This is so pretty. I had most of the pumpkin stitched yesterday, and I had this much of the tree stitched up yesterday. This morning after I got up and had coffee, I finished the pumpkin. The eyes are not done. They will be done in a Leviathan stitch because there are specialty stitches in here. The bats, their wings are satin stitches. I finished the pumpkin this morning. I started stitching up the side, the vines here, and the top of the pumpkin. And I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop to get dressed. I didn't want to stop to start my videos. I just want to stitch on this because it's so pretty. So when I get done with recording this video for the second time, because I think the words are coming out of my mouth correctly this time, who knows, I will go back to stitching on this because this is just beautiful. So beautiful. So that was my purchase yesterday, and my new start. I think so far this year, I made a note of it. For 2020, I carried over 5 patterns from last year. I finished Winterberry Snowman. I abandoned the Alphonse Mucha. So I still have 3 left that I'm working on. I have made 7 new starts since the beginning of this year. I have FFO'd 4 of them. I made 4 little stitch pieces. I think I showed them in my last video for my What Whip group. So those have all been done. I've been getting a lot of stitching in lately and playing with my journaling and stuff like that. So I'm actually kind of impressed with myself, what I've accomplished so far. But speaking of my What Whip group, Ellen, who is one of the ladies in the group, she sent out some lovely mail and she made these floss cards. Beautiful one with the peacocks on it. This one with the poppies on it. And I really liked this idea. So I decided to make some of my own and made these. Smaller than hers, but I like the way that they look. And I like the way the floss hangs on them. Like I said, this is just DMC, but it looks pretty and I like it. Thank you, Ellen. I called her Deanna last time. I mean, I realize I've mentioned Deanna a couple of times in the video and they're both in the same group with me. Thank you, Ellen. I don't know if she watches, but I still want to get it right. Okay. So, I've been working on some journals. When I abandoned the Alphonse Mucha that I was working on, I decided to incorporate the pattern into some of my journals. And the larger size journals that I've been making, I make these out of a file folder, a manila file folder. I'm doing things like this where I've torn it's not fabric, it's paper, and I'm just using it to embellish the design. On the inside of this one where I have the pocket here, I put it behind the pocket to emphasize this pocket here. I did the same thing back here on this pocket, and then I had printed up some little Alphonse Mucha tags. This one is just glued in there, but I figured since this is an homage to my abandoned Mucha with the abandoned Mucha pattern bits in there. I would put it in there so that it kind of emphasizes the pockets in there. So then I was watching another lady, and she took the same file folder that I used to make these, and she made a shorter version. And I really, really like the way this one turned out. This one is made with a 1/4 inch wide spine. The others are just very narrow. This is a 1/4 inch spine. So on this one, I took some of that pattern and I used it to cover the spine where I sewed in the signature, the paper on the inside there. This one has multiple pockets in it on both sides, the front side and the back side. There is a side pocket so that you can put a journaling card in there. There is a top pocket on both sides, and then there's a bottom pocket on both sides. So I really, really like the way this one turned out. I had so much fun playing with this one. I've been having so much fun playing with all of them. I know that I've made probably 20, 25 journals now. They're fun. I've sold a couple of them. I hope that the people are using them instead of just setting them on their shelves to look at. Use them. If you fill them. One of the ladies at Acorns yesterday made the comment that she would buy one, but she would run out of paper if she used it. Well, that's okay. You can buy another one. I know, I'm crazy. There you go. Okay. I have been stitching on another piece. Another one of the pieces that I carried over from last year. This is Cour-i-Batacourt Halloween and Cross Stitch. This is the pattern that was sent to me by Michelle, Maine Moose Mom. I am housing the flosses in it in my Floss Buddy flip that I stitched the Yoda design, and then I sent him to Karina in England, and she turned it into a Floss Buddy flip for me, so it houses all the flosses that I'm using for that. The last time I showed it to you, I was working on the big safety pin here. I brought it back out last week after I finished my 3 FFOs, and I started stitching on this again. I finished stitching the rest of the safety pin here. I came down and started the witch's hat and the words that spell out boo, and then I started working on this white tag over here. This is being stitched on, I have to double check because I couldn't remember. This is being stitched on 36 count, picture this plus ale, 2/2. When I was doing the 2/2 stitching on this tag here, I didn't like the way it looked. So I decided to stitch it 1/2. So it makes it look a little more delicate, if you will. But I like the way the stitching laid, stitching that tag 1/2. The rest of it is all 2/2. So that is where I've gotten to on this piece. And I'm housing all of it in the bag that I got from my friend Lisa Smith, Kindred Stitcher, because it's just a really, really pretty bag and I like it. Okay. I was also hoping, hold on, gotta pause. I didn't really need to pause. I needed to find my brain. When I did the first video, I was sitting out in the living room and I had everything out there, and I made sure that I moved everything in here, but I hung something on my chair over here, and I forgot that I hung it there. I share my blonde moments with you. I had planned to do a leap year, leap day, new start. I wanted to start stitching this. This is Stony Creek Halloween Village. It is an Afghan. I saw this completed at Fall Fling last year, fell in love with it, had Janine order the pattern for me. It's a booklet. It's 30 pages. Each page is 90 by 89 stitches. So if I think of it in terms of pages and doing a page at a time, it's not bad. The fabric is 20 count Lugana, 44.5 inches wide by 53.5 inches long. I haven't got a clue how I'm going to stitch with that much fabric. Yeah, but my fabric is on back order, so I didn't get to start it on the 29th. Julie and Alyssa from Stitching at the Cabin, I enabled Julie to buy the Christmas version of this, and she decided that she would like to start it on February 29th with me, but I don't have my fabric. Alyssa has already started hers. Julie said that she is more than happy to wait because she has plenty of other projects to work on, and I told her she didn't have to, but if she wants to, that's great. And whenever I get my fabric, we can start on it together. I am looking forward to doing this. So I went to Joann's. This pattern calls for many skeins of floss, and it's all charted in DMC. So I made myself floss cards, and this is my palette of colors that I will be using in this pattern. This is one skein of each color. These are all DMC colors. There is Threadworks color 1043 Fantasy Island that will be used in that. Look at the colors in that. That is just gorgeous. There are 2 skeins of Weeks Dye Work 2237, 5 skeins of Glow in the Dark DMC, and since the pattern calls for 38 skeins of 310 Black, I bought a cone. So I have 1 skein of every color all carded up on my floss cards that I made, on my floss ring. The jewelry on the floss ring is the one that I got from Olivia, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts at Fall Fling. So this is ready to go whenever my fabric shows up. Okay, and the only other thing that I purchased was, do you know that I love Alphonse Mucha? Do you know how upset I was that I had to abandon that one, because that was so frustrating. I've searched everywhere I could think of searching to find another version of the Evening Star, but the only place that I have found that pattern anywhere is the place that I purchased it from. And I explained to you in a previous video why it wasn't working, why I was abandoning it, and why I'm now incorporating it in my journals, the pattern itself. So I went back to Cross Stitch Collectibles. That's where I got the pattern to Stitch the Moon, the last one that I did. And I was going through and I was looking at all of their Alphonse Muchas that they offer, and I found one. If you look right over my shoulder, I'm pointing at it. Right there on the wall is Evening Reverie. I stitched her several years ago. She was the second one I did. I found a sister piece to that one on Cross Stitch Collectibles. This is Morning Awakening. Look at that. Oh God, she's beautiful. I made sure when I looked at the patterns that she would have the border around her, which is what I really like. I ordered it. I ordered the wrong size. I ordered the small version. I contacted them and I said, I ordered the wrong ones. Can I send it back? Will you send me a new one? They did. I've got it. All I need to do is get another piece of Aida and I can get started on that. I have all the flosses. So that will be ready to go. Anyway, I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to say in the first time I recorded this. I think I've said all my words correctly. So, live long and stitch on, my friends. Bye-bye.